Hey guys, good morning. Hope you're all well. So, being the good guy, the good gal, the nice person, right? Does that set you back in your career? Does that hinder your progress? Does that stop you from being successful as an entrepreneur? The answer, obviously, my take on it is that it's the opposite. First of all, is it not only the right and correct way to live your life, to try to be the good person, the good guy, good gal, but if you want to be truly successful in anything you do, especially today, that's got to be part of who you are, because people want to work with people they like and people they get along with. Sometimes they'll rather work, well, I think most of the time, no, that's actually not sometimes, I think most of the time, at least for me, I'd rather work with somebody who's easier and kinder, has a good sense of humor to work with, and obviously can do their job, but might not be as perfect or as great as the person that is really, really good at what they do, but they're just difficult to work with and it's just not a fun experience. I'd rather go with the first person, with the person that's kind and makes an effort, is polite and has a sense of humor. It just makes life so much easier. And so that's the person you want to strive to be. And when you want to put winning teams together, and the saying, the shit rolls from the top, it's so true in any organization, right? Because douchebags hire other douchebags. So, when you meet a boss or head of the company that is that way, they tend to hire similar type people, and then you end up with an organization that's just the whole environment. No one's happy there, no one wants to work there, and what's the point, right? What's the point of life? We're here for such a short amount of time. Why be that way? Why work somewhere that way? And again, especially today, I think it was more acceptable in the previous generations, and maybe it was kind of part of the game and part of the territory that when you became successful or business owner or had all these degrees or whatever it is, that it was almost excused or okay to be that way, but it's not, and it's less so today. You still get plenty of those people that are that way, and I feel sorry for them, because it's a lousy way to live your life. And I know I do my best all the time to always stay respectful, always try to use humor and be kind and be polite, no matter who I'm working with. And it could be, an investor that's worth, a couple $100 million to my contractor who's pouring concrete on a job site. I have the same approach with everybody, and I always want to give people my best and try to be respectful and always try to take the higher road. Same in negotiations. I think one of the ways that maybe I've had some success in negotiating buying land for development is I keep the ego out of it. I'm not there trying to negotiate every last point, just out of principle, right? Just to stroke the ego. If the terms work and I got to give up a couple things, then so be it. As long as the deal works, the deal works. Some people get so bent out of shape, get their ego in the way, and they got to get that last negotiating thing, and again, feel terrible for those people. They get a lot of these deals, I think, and it's just miserable, and they're miserable to work with, and don't become that person. Stay away from those people. Really be selective of who you work with, who you work for, and and on the wealthy people side, it definitely, it's hard not to get jaded in the sense that I've been around a lot of wealthy people in the business, and for sure stereotypes are in place for a reason, right? They're definitely in place for a reason, and there's definitely a lot. I'd have to say definitely the majority, not everybody, I wouldn't say the clear majority, but there's definitely a good majority of folks that just because they have a lot of money, that they think that they're superior and that they should be treated different, and that they can negotiate a different deal for themselves, or that you're going to give them something different because of who they are. And again, I think it's a lousy way to live, and I really hope and do my best that I would never become that person. And I have so much respect for the folks that I have met that have that type of money and kind of authority where they can, they have the resources to make things happen, that stay humble and that you would never know it. You could take them to lunch with anybody, where some people I just cringe, right? At some people I wouldn't take the lunch, right? Because they'll talk down. I'm saying take the lunch with a contractor or with somebody that's not of their quote unquote class. They would talk down or not be polite, and so I've a lot of respect for people that can quote unquote be successful in the eye of society. Because again, the word success, right? It's not because you have a lot of money and you've been quote unquote successful in business that you're automatically a great person and you're automatically smarter than everybody. I mean, I've actually like this week was setting the modular house, an ADU at our property, and the guys working on the site, a lot of those guys super smart, most of them super bright, super smart, just as smart if not smarter than some of the wealthy people I work with. So wealth has nothing to do with how smart you are, right? Yeah, you could if you didn't inherit it, you definitely worked hard, you found a good angle, you grew a business. That's great. I'm not taking away from that, but don't mistake that automatically makes you smart or smarter than others. Everybody has their superpower. Everybody has something they know more than you, and always be appreciative of that and be respectful of that. So just be that person, and and if you don't get that job or you don't get that project or you get that investor because you're being nice or respectful, then they're doing you a favor. You should be working with them in the first place. And I've really, the older I get, when I was younger and raising money and investors, I would really take money from investors that were willing to just invest, and I didn't have the luxury of being so selective and really making sure that they had this same interest, alignment, and the respect, and were kind people. And now I demand better, and I sift through better. But for sure, when I was younger, I didn't do that as much, and there were some investors that I worked with that were some heated conversation that I wouldn't work with again, that were really miserable to work with, and talked down on me because they invested money in my deal, that they thought I gave them a right to talk to me any which way they want, and I would never work with those people again. And you'll have those experiences, right? Especially when you start out and you're raising money, and there's going to be some investors that are just hard to deal with. And again, I feel sorry for those people, and I'm not that person, never want to be that person. And I think to truly get ahead in the overall goal of life, right, which I really summarize it to three things, kind of this three legs to my stool, is service, love, and respect, right? Being of service to yourself and others, your family, right, your community, respecting yourself and others, loving yourself and others. Just here the last 2 years, that really has kind of been my conclusion, right? As I talk to my kids, and those are really kind of the three pillars to my life, that I think if I focus on those three, everything flows naturally from there. And I would recommend you guys to focus on the same things and stay away from people who don't value those things, because that's really the core of any society, any well-run business, and to get big success and to really be able to stay in anything you do long term and not burn any bridges. I think that has to be core, or else you end up being you might have some success, but you end up being the bitter, angry, stingy, you're always angling, you're always judging, rich person or quote unquote successful, that people behind your back are saying, man, that guy's miserable, gal miserable to deal with. Well, I mean, you don't want that type of life, right? I think you want to be remembered as somebody that worked hard, that was always respectful, that did their best, that took the high road, that was fun to work with, and cared, and those are really those are really things I think you want to strive for, and there's definitely things that I strive for every day. And so, you know, don't think you have to be, you know, if you have a difficult boss, or you see, you know, somebody who's wealthy that has an ego, don't think you have to be that way to reach those levels. And again, the word success, right? That word success isn't just money. That word success is, are you working on something that you're interested in, right? And are you working on something that's really helping society, right? That's first and foremost. The money is secondary, right? So just don't just focus on that. I know when someone doesn't have money, and when you're young and you just really want to make it, and that's the main focus. And I get it. I was at one time, you know, I was in college and I was a broke college student and I wanted to make it. That was definitely my focus. I wanted to have money so I could, you know, I could do things and I could have options. But when I had that first money in my 20s, that's when I realized, when I started to really go down these rabbit holes, or, you know, what's next? What's the point of life? What's, you know, what do I do? How do I set this up? You know, what do I want my legacy to be? And so these are all my conclusions I'm sharing with you guys. And from what I've learned and what I've seen, you know, and people that I've respected throughout the years, and that I still respect today, and the values that they have and how they conduct themselves, and also, you know, family-wise, you know, I'll throw this in as well. You know, before you work with somebody or for somebody, or a partnership, or even, you know, potentially take a larger money, you know, raise money from, is what's their personal life like? You know, what's their relationship with their wife and kids, right? Do they respect those relationships? You know, are they there for their kids and their wives, and, you know, are they committed to that? Because that tells a lot about who they are, what they believe in, and how they'll most likely treat you. Because if they don't treat their kids well, and they don't treat their significant others well, most likely they're not gonna treat you well either. And life's too short for that. And I know, you know, people might say, well, you know, that investor, he's willing to invest, but he doesn't have what you just talked about. I need the money. I know it's a tough decision. I know it is, you know, and I've raised money. I've taken money from investors, not all of them, but some that, you know, probably didn't have that as well. But I'm telling you, those were the ones that were difficult. Those were the ones that I had a hard time with, and so I don't know what you do in that situation, right? Maybe you gotta kind of compromise to get things going, but as time goes on, you want to focus on making sure you have more investors that are aligned with those things that we talked about in these videos. So take the high road, be the good person, be respectful, be of service, right? And I think that will come back to pay you 1,000 times. At a minimum, it will be the person that you want to be. Your conscience will be clear, and you'll just lead a clean life of service, love, and respect. All right, guys. Please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you can, and, you know, look forward to getting questions. And I'm trying to hit different topics, things that, you know, I think about, that I care about, that I want to transmit to the next generation, to other people that are working on these things, and working on businesses, and working on mindset. Those are things that are important to me, because mindset's everything. It's all mindset. It's all, like Henry Ford used to say, if you think you can do it, and if you think you can't do it, both scenarios you're correct. So it's really what you believe, and then the world kind of molds around your belief. So have a good one.